Happy Thursday, Sales Ascender. I hope you're doing well today. In this video, I'm going to answer a question that I think every single person that goes into any sales conversation will always run into. The question is, what do you do when a prospect actually asks you a question that you don't quite have an answer for? What's happening, Sales Ascender? Sean here, back at you with another high-ticket tune-up. Let's just jump right into it. It's Thursday today. I'm going to give you a wonderful question. This is a technique that you can use today in your life. This will sort you out in your personal life, with your family, with your friends, any prospects, any current clients that you may have. This one is valuable, so stick with me all the way to the end. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button, turn the notifications on, do all that good stuff. But check this out. Jessie asks this. She says, Sean, what do I do when the client asks me a question that I don't have an answer for? And this happened to me so many times as I was going through the beginning parts of my sales career. I would get in there and the client would start asking me, I was selling commodities. And so they would be like, hey, can you deliver this on Monday? I didn't know because I wasn't in control of that. Hey, does it do this feature? I didn't know because I had never sold that type of product before. And so these types of questions kept coming out over and over and over again. And it wasn't until I got really familiar with a lot more of Tom Hopkins stuff. Tom Hopkins is one of my very first sales coaches that I ever had. I met the guy, I've had lunch with him. I love the guy dearly. He's an amazing sales trainer. He's trained over 5 million people in his career. And he says to do this. There's this technique called the Porcupine. There's several other names for it, but I think the Porcupine, if you remember the Porcupine technique, I'm going to say that word again. What's the Porcupine technique, Sean? Well, the Porcupine technique is this. Imagine if you're walking through the forest with 2 of your best friends, and all of a sudden one of your best friends sees this porcupine and thinks it's not a porcupine, rather thinks it's something that's a cuddly, like a cat that he can just pick up, and he picks it up and throws it at you. And now all of a sudden you see this porcupine coming at your face with all these quills sticking out, going right at you. What are you going to do, right? A, you could avoid the porcupine and move out of the way and let it fall behind you, and that's fine. Or B, if the porcupine happens to be that question that you don't have an answer for, the move is to catch it and throw it right back. Get rid of it, because you don't want those quills to stick into your hands. And so if you're going to get that porcupine thrown at you, which is that question the prospect asks you or the client asks you that you don't have an answer for, just imagine that question is a porcupine, and what are you going to do? Yeah, or answer, throw it back at you. So how do you do that? You actually start the process by answering his question with a question. And there's a number of ways you can do this. Some people call it a reverse. Definitely different things you can put on the front of it. You could put like a softening statement on the front of it and then do a reverse. You could do just like a quick straight reverse. You could just dive in a different ways. So let me give you a couple of examples. So if somebody says to you, yo, can you have this delivered to me on Monday? And then you could just smile and you could say, is Monday when you need the thing to be delivered? And then they're going to say yes, no, or maybe so. And all of a sudden you've taken that porcupine, because you don't know if Monday's going to be the thing. And why is your prospect asking you, is Monday the right day? Well, now you can say, well, is Monday the right day for you? Like, why do you need it on Monday? Is that the timing that's going to make the most sense for you? And then that you get some answers and you're going to get a little more intel. You can do this with anything. If your wife comes at you with a question, or your husband, or your beloved, or your kids, they come at you with some crazy question, you can just stop and ask them a question back about what's relevant and why it works and why it doesn't. Most sales professionals, or not even sales professionals, I should say, most traditional sales people, when they get questions asked of them, what do? What do you do when somebody asks you a question? You want to answer it, right? Well, in this case, if it's something that you don't know the answer to and you don't want to fake it till you make it, right? I know they say fake it till you make it's the right thing. However, in sales, it's better to be candid and understanding and have an open ear rather than saying something that you don't know is 100% truth. So the idea is just to turn that thing around, throw the porcupine back at the prospect and say, well, that's a great question. Why'd you ask that one right now? That one works wonderfully, right? Because then they will go down into a definition, because they might feel that they didn't say the question right, or you didn't understand it. So they're going to re-explain it. You can gather all that intel, and now you have a way better way of responding, and it gives you the time, right? And here's the other thing. Most people think when they get in the conversation as a traditional salesperson, they feel like the person that owns the conversation is the person that's talking the most. Well, in fact, that's not the case, right? The person who owns the control in the conversation is the person asking the questions and being quiet to let the other person talk. And again, this goes back to how much should you talk in a sales call? If you have an hour-long sales call that's 60 minutes, you should never talk as a sales professional or sales ascender for more than 17 minutes. So if you have an hour sales call, set a timer, let it rip, or even just clock the times that you're talking during that call, and it should never exceed 17 minutes. Again, it's that move where you want them to be talking about 80% of the time because it gives you intel, it gives you time to think about what you're going to say next, and it allows you to formulate a strategy so you can actually come back and really truly solve the problem and help them to make an impact in their life. And that, my friends, is how you deal with a question that is you don't have the answer to. So Jesse, I hope this one helped you today. This is a great one. Just remember the porcupine technique. If anyone ever throws you a question that you don't know the answer to, think about how could you just quickly throw that back at them with a different question to either get more information, understand why, or develop a strategy, or even come up with an answer that you may have. And the way to do that is to buy yourself time by getting them to talk. With that said, you've just been tuned up. I hope this one was valuable for you today. I know it was really helpful for me in my sales career as I started getting going through the day. So with that said, make sure to smash that subscribe button, turn on the notifications and all that good stuff. And I can't wait to see you next time.